In this week's video, we are going to be taking a look and drawing inspiration from vendors who are popping up in Venice Beach. Now, Venice Beach is a high foot traffic area that attracts people of all kinds. You've got all sorts of tourists visiting, and you've also even got locals with things like their outdoor gyms, their paddle tennis courts, and skate park, and then the beach itself. There are all sorts of things to see and do in Venice Beach. Now, what we're gonna take a look at today is all of the vendors who are popping up. So before we do, you'll notice that there are some permanent store vendors who, of course, there's tons of stores and restaurants in this area. Some of these stores actually set up booths outside of their store to just kind of extend their area and draw people in. We're not really going to focus on those today. We're going to focus on the temporary vendors who are popping up. So with that, the first vendor that we're taking a look at today is actually selling crock charms. And you'll notice that this vendor has 3 tables. They've got a tablecloth, they've got a tent above it. Now, normally when I film these types of videos, if you've seen some of my previous vendor booth inspiration videos, you'll notice that I like to draw your attention to things like the tents, the tablecloths, whether they have custom signs with their brand name or even custom tents and custom tablecloths. Well, for today's video, you're more than welcome to keep your eye out for those types of things and draw inspiration, but I actually wanted to focus on something else for today's video. Because with Venice Beach, it's an area that has guaranteed foot traffic. Assuming it's a sunny day, if it's storming, I'm sure there's not going to be a lot of people shopping these pop-up vendors. But assuming it's a sunny day, there's almost guaranteed foot traffic, especially on the weekends. So, some of these booths, you'll notice that they do have the over-the-top setup with their name everywhere. It's clearly displayed. They've got QR codes to the social media. Well, some of the other vendors will have a more simple setup. You'll notice some of them might just have one table in the tent with their products on it. Some of them even set up on the floor, and they might just have an umbrella. So there's all sorts of different ways that these vendors are displaying their products. So given that, what I'm trying to get at is, in a place like this, it might not be necessary to have an over-the-top booth set up. What I really want you to think about is the audience of who the shoppers are that are going to be exploring the event and checking out your booth at the next vendor event that you do. Whether that's in Santa Monica, Venice Beach, or Nebraska, what you need to think about is who the shoppers are that are actually coming to the event. Now, they could be shoppers who appreciate a visually appealing booth, an aesthetically appealing booth, and that draws them in. While other times, in a place like Venice Beach, where you've got all sorts of people shopping, maybe the vendor doesn't need to have the over-the-top booth set up to draw people in and make sales. Because as a vendor, our ultimate goal is to increase sales, number one, and then while doing so, we also want to build our business and attract loyal customers who will potentially come back and shop with us later on down the line, and ideally maybe even on our online website, a couple months later, and become lifelong customers. So it's important to think about what the needs are of the shoppers at the event you're doing, or the festival you're doing, farmer's market, any type of event that you're doing. You want to think about who is coming and shopping at the event. Thinking about our example in Venice Beach, we've seen a lot of artwork vendors. So who do you think the shoppers are of those artwork vendors? Is it the tourist? Or maybe it's the local shoppers who are looking for unique artwork created by undiscovered artists that they're looking to hang in their apartment in Venice Beach, as opposed to the tourist who maybe they don't have the ability to pack a very big piece of artwork in their suitcase and fly back home with it, maybe they're going to be on the hunt for something that's more of a souvenir, something that they can gift a friend or family member back home. So what you want to do is really think through, what are the needs of the shoppers at these events, and how can I service them? How can I provide them with what they need? Some of these tourists might even be looking for a unique experience that they can only get in Venice Beach, as opposed to their small town, rural hometown back home. You know, maybe they can't get henna tattoos or psychic readings back home, but they can get that in Venice Beach. And that's why a service like that works in a place like that. So whether you're offering a product for sale or an experience that your shoppers can go through, you really need to think about who's coming to your event, how you can align your products and your brand with their needs and draw them in. And sometimes it's you know, you might have one product and you're not going to deviate from that product from event to event, but the way you explain the product could differ. So maybe at an event where you are, maybe it's a family-friendly event and you sell candles, you can say, you know, the shoppers coming by, like if there's man coming by and he's looking for a gift for his mother-in-law, you could kind of explain how a candle would be the perfect fit, as opposed to if you're at a farmer's market and you've got people just looking for handmade artisanal goods to put in their own home for their decor. They just purchased their first house. I don't know, I'm kind of making this up as I go, but I think you get the idea. You really want to think about how you sell your products to the audience at the event that you're participating in. Now, sometimes you're going to have the opportunity to actually attend the event in person as a shopper yourself before you actually get to the event and participate in the event as a vendor. When you do that, you have the opportunity to kind of take notes of the types of shoppers that are at the event and what they seem to be looking for, what they're making consistent purchases of. Other times you might not have that opportunity. You might have an event coming up and they don't have any other events before you're able to participate in it. Maybe it's an event that they only do once a year, so you know you're not gonna wait a year just so you can see what the audience is like before signing up. So in those instances, what I would recommend is to reach out to the event organizer and work with them to help you understand and gauge who their target audience is, who they expect the shoppers to be, what the demographics are. And in doing so, you can better prepare yourself, you know, pick out the products you want to bring. If you have a bunch to choose from, I mean, personally, me as a clothing store vendor, I'm rarely able to bring all of my products to an event. I usually have something like a 6x6 booth set up and have maybe 4 clothing racks at most. So I can't bring all my products. I have to be choosy about what I bring, and understanding the target audience of who's coming to that event really helps me decide which products make sense to bring. And then of course, things like the season, you know, I'm not going to bring winter coats to the event during the summer, obviously. So you want to think about things like that. I will say that if you're working with an event organizer who is unable to really give you those details, then you honestly might want to rethink whether it makes sense to actually participate in that event, because at that point, they might not be doing a great job of hosting the event and organizing the event. They should know their audience. They should know what shoppers they're trying to bring to the event to help you as a vendor sell your products. Now, I will say what's helpful is if the event is free to participate in as a vendor, then you can be a little bit less selective. But if you're being charged, you know, over $100, sometimes I've seen some events over $500 in some areas, you know, then you definitely want to make sure the event organizer knows what they're doing and is attracting people to actually show up at the event. Now with that, on that note, I actually am creating an app that I'm hoping to launch fall 2024 that allows you as vendors to find new events to sign up for. And what's going to be great about the app is you're actually going to be able to read reviews from vendors who have attended or participated in the event in the past, so you know whether or not the event makes sense for you or if it's a waste of your time, because time is money, and I hate going to an event where the event organizer did a horrible job organizing the event and I'm left having a hard time making my goals for the day from a sales perspective. So this app, ideally, it's also going to have some features that allow you to kind of understand who the target audience is of the event before you sign up for it as well, and lots of other great features. So if you are interested in signing up and learning more, I will link to the website where you can sign up for our email list, and you will be able to get early access and all of the information you need when it's time for me to launch the app. And you also have the ability to join our Facebook group where you can start to build your network with other vendors. That's usually my number one tip for vendors who are just getting started, is do your best to try to network with other vendors, and they can give you insights into what other events they've done in the past and which ones have been more successful for them, things like that. And you can also just get tips and tricks and inspiration within this network, within the Facebook group. And last but not least, you'll get to ask me questions in real time, and I do my best to respond to everyone's comments. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. If you are looking for where you can find displays for your vendor booth, I have my favorite website. It's called Displays to Go. I will link to it down below. And lastly, if you're looking for wholesale products that you want to offer to your audience at these types of events, my go-to wholesale marketplace is Faire, and I will link to that in the description part down below as well. So lots of great resources for you guys. Let me know if you have any questions at all. And with that, I'll see you guys next time.